Hey there, my name is Shreya and you're watching the Stitch by Shreya Knitting Podcast. On today's episode, we're going to go ahead and talk a little bit about the progress I've made on some long-term whips, a couple of finished objects, as well as some new cast-ons and some impulsive cast-ons as well. So if you like what you see, please go ahead and hit the like button. Give me a thumbs up. That really helps me a lot in the YouTube algorithm. Leave a comment. I try to respond to every single comment that I get. And if you're not already, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. You can also find me on Instagram at StitchedbyShreya, and you can find me on Ravelry also at StitchedbyShreya. I am probably the most active on Instagram, but you can definitely reach out to me through any of my channels and I get back, I think, relatively quickly. So yeah, that's it for the intro part of it today. I'm gonna go ahead and get into what I'm wearing today. So today I'm wearing my finished stripy turtle tank. I finished this in last week's episode, but if you don't know, this is a pattern by Emily Curtis. She's a designer. Well, she's not based in Seattle anymore, but she was based in Seattle and now she's on a wonderful world travel trip. And so this is a pattern that I made in conjunction with my friends. My friend group here, we tend to make a lot of the same knits at the same time just because it's fun knitting patterns with your friends. So they knit it because they were all going to Lambtown, which happened, I think, this past weekend in Dixon, California. And I could not make it to the event, but I did decide to just knit a matching tank with them just for fun. So my main color, which is this like burgundy stripe that's like on the hem, my main color is Explorer Knits Denali Sock Fig. And then I used some scraps from previous projects for all my other stripes. So the bottom one is Poetry from Fibre Co. Then it's Sewrella Hot Toddy. Then it's some cream color that I have no idea where it's from. I'm guessing it's probably a mini skein from like a Sewrella tonal pack. Then we have Malabrigo Diana. And again, another tonal I don't know the name of. And then finally it's like Muckross, which is like the Explorer Knits mucky yellowish green color. So I think it's a very like nice fall autumnal tank just because of the colors that I chose and kind of how it comes all together. And I'm wearing it with a dress that my friend made. So my friend Dikshita, she is a really wonderful sewist and crocheter, and I think she's self-taught for both of them. And so I had my baby shower this past weekend, and as kind of like a gift, she sewed me this beautiful linen dress. So it's kind of mimicking the Not Perfect linen style of having like, they have a Not Perfect linen mama dress. So you can't see it because I'm wearing the vest on top, but there's like snap button enclosures here. And I asked her kind of for like a looser style with like a waist tie. So this has a waist tie here, which you also can't see because I'm wearing the vest on top, but it just cinches in the waist a little bit and brings it in a little bit. So it's good for adjustable bodies like myself. My body is definitely going through a lot of changes. So even postpartum, after the pregnancy, I think it'll be a great dress that I can just wear kind of anytime. And I decided to throw this on top just because I was wearing it with a button down and jeans, but my jeans, like they're not like tight or anything. They're like pretty loose fitted jeans, but I can't get a belt on anymore. So they just slide down. So I kind of looked like Winnie the Pooh with my like little crop top and then my belly hanging out and then the jeans. So I was like, maybe this would be better over a dress for now. So that's this. I really love this vest. It has a really versatile usage in my wardrobe, but I do intend on wearing it as like a layering piece because on me, like my natural waist is like kind of right where my ribbing is and my belly button is like 2 or 3 inches below that. I think the fit will definitely be different postpartum, but for right now, I'm probably not going to wear it on its own. I'll definitely wear it with something underneath or as like a layered piece. but I really love this one. I can see myself making another one later down the road that's a little bit longer, maybe a little bit more versatile with my wardrobe necessities. So yeah, that is the stripy turtle tank. And now I'm gonna go ahead and get into the finished objects for today. So my first finished object in today's episode is the Manhattan hat. So this is a pattern by Tori Yu. This is the second Manhattan hat that I've made. And this one I made out of Madeline Tosh Sock in the shade Mandala. This has about 395 yards per 100 grams, and I held it double and I made the adult large size. This pattern is really, really addicting and fun to knit, and the decreases at the end are really, really fun to kind of work up. And I did a single brim because I was running out of yarn like very seriously. I actually joined in like some random Malabrigo scrap yarn that I had in like one of the last couple of rows, but because this hat has like purple in it and that skein was like a purple skein, you can't really tell where I joined in unless you look really closely. Would I make this again? Absolutely. I have like plans to make a couple more, one for myself, one as gift, many as gifts. And I think it's just a very potato chippy pattern. Obviously, if you're not a fan of 1x1 rib, this one might not be for you, but she has another pattern called, I think, the Brownstone Beanie, and that's all stockinette. So I think I might make that for myself next because that one's like a fingering weight hat with like 2 different gauges to get the brim looking the way that it does. And then I think for gift knitting, like this one is a great, great option. And I love the yarn. I don't know if I would necessarily seek it out again. I got this as a gift, or like I think I exchanged yarn with someone, and this was like the yarn that I got from it. It's not a color I would pick for myself necessarily, but my dad picked out the color from my stash, so I was more than happy to oblige. So yeah, that is the Manhattan hat. And I used every last bit of yarn for this project. Like I think I had like 12 inches left at the end. And so I definitely did need to join in that other yarn from my scrap just to like get the last couple of decreases in. But it was down to the wire. And I think because I was playing yarn chicken, I ended up working on it faster. Inga from Knitting Traditions kind of has echoed the same before, but I think she said, like, when I think I'm running out of yarn, I tend to work on that project more and more to see if I'm actually going to run out of yarn. And I'm noticing that's the same for me. And yarn chicken is kind of a trend in my next couple of projects that I'm going to talk about today. Usually I have more than enough yarn to finish projects out, but for whatever reason, this Manhattan hat and my next project, I am like down to the wire when it came to yarn. So that's my first finished object. And yeah, that's it for that one. Then for my second finished object, I managed to finish the Jude baby sweater by Abbi Makes. So I'm gonna go ahead and, it's still a little bit damp, so I'm just gonna go ahead and gently show you. So this is the Jude baby sweater. It is adorable. Like just the polo collar design, as well as like the cute, like chubby reverse stockinette stripes. There are some ends sticking out. Everything is woven, but I haven't trimmed them short yet, just because I still had this blocking. So you'll see that it has like a cute, almost like a polo shirt vibe to it. The only like gripe I have about this pattern is that the collar does have a tendency to curl. So I might need to like steam block it down and pin it out a little bit because I did not pin it when I was blocking it. So I might need to just like pin it out a little bit and make sure it doesn't curl as much, because you'll see in the back it's like majorly curling. And my only suggestion might be that you make the collar like a double knitted collar. but I really do like how it looks. And I guess I could fix it by kind of like whip stitching the back of this down and then letting the rest of it kind of hang loose. I don't know. We'll see based on the functionality needed for my child. But this is made in the 6 to 12 month size. And because it has these buttons, it gives more than enough room for a baby's head to go on easily. And I think mine is like a little bit, it grew in length a little bit when I was blocking it. The yarn that I used is Cascade Heritage in the shade brown. And I used 200 grams and I held it double. So I held the two skeins, I had 200 grams of it. So I held the fingering weight double. And yeah, so I did also run into an issue of yarn chicken with this one. So much so that I actually had to harvest yarn from my swatch to finish off the second sleeve. So I think I finished the first sleeve easy peasy. And then the second sleeve I had gotten to about like here. And then I needed to harvest from my swatch to finish the rest. And I think I have about like half my swatch left. So this uses like every itty bitty bit of yarn. I could probably have gotten away with making my body a little bit shorter, but I think that my baby's probably going to be tall, so I have no problem making it a little bit of a longer top for him. I think this will be really cute with baby jeans. I don't know. I'm getting a vision of like this top with like a cute pair of like light denim jeans. And then we got these like Vans for the baby. So I have a vision of him wearing all three of them together. And I think it'll just be so cute. If he likes wool. I personally think that this is like the softest wool that I've tried for the baby knits so far. So Cascade Heritage sock is like a 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon. So I think that it is super durable. And the buttons that I used, I got these buttons from a thrift shop or an antique store in Monterey. Actually, technically it's Pacific Grove, not Monterey. So they have a lot of antique stores down there. So I think I went there with one of my sister-in-laws and we were just like checking out what they had, and I found these cute buttons. They're from like the 30s, I think. The antique stores are really like a fun place to find things like buttons or things like cute dresses and little things like that. I wouldn't necessarily buy clothing all the time, but the buttons, I felt like they have like cute sewing trinkets and things like that there. So I bought these thinking, oh, you know, like they're off-white. They'll kind of work with a lot of different things that I have. And this is the first project I had that I could actually use them for. So that is my Jude sweater. And if you're keeping track, that means I have accomplished 2 out of the 5 things that were on my list of things to accomplish from last podcast to this podcast. So I finished this yesterday. So I cast this on maybe like the day or 1 or 2 days after I filmed, and then I finished it yesterday and I got it to block. And it's still like a little bit damp, so I'm going to probably stick it back on the mat in a little bit. Maybe pin out the collar and make it lay flat a little bit more. But I'm very, very happy with the progress I've made on all those things, and just like finishing these little projects kind of gives me motivation to go back to bigger projects and get a lot done on those as well. That's it for the finished objects today. I'm going to go ahead and move on into the works in progress. And I'm going to start with my Stria cardigan. So this has been a long-term project of mine, the longest of term projects actually, because I started this last year in January, and I'm finally starting to see some serious progress here. Okay, so I think I said I wanted to try to finish the sleeve by this episode, and I did. I'm so proud of myself. So this is sleeve number 1. I even added length to this one. So I think I had only until this like dark red stripe, and then I started the ribbing, and then I decided I was going to add an extra inch, and I added one more stripe, and then I did the ribbing, and I did a proper tubular bind off, which is just, it looks so much better. And then the second sleeve, which I also finished, is here. So just so proud of myself to have 2 sleeves done on this. And all I have left now is the body and the button band. And I think the body should not take too long, considering that every other row is a full knit row. The sleeves actually went by pretty quickly, even though every other row was a purl row. I think it's because switching the stripes every like 10 rows was just really motivating to keep going. I had broken it out so that I would do like 2 stripes every single day. And then towards the end, I was like, you know what, these are going really fast. Let me do 3 stripes a day. And then I was like, you know, I just have like 2 more stripes left. Let me just finish it. So I felt really motivated and really, really excited to kind of get this done. I had a lot of knitting time last Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So that's pretty much what I was focusing my energy on, was getting this project done, or not even done, but like just getting as much progress as I could on this as possible. What am I saying? Okay, my focus was just to finish the sleeves on this one. I have not connected my needles back onto the body yet. That's something I'm planning to do after I finish filming. But for now, this is a win for me. Just getting those sleeves done is just a huge motivation. And knowing that I only have like, I don't know, maybe 5 or 6 more inches of the body plus a button band, that feels like doable to me. I feel like I can do that. The rows are pretty long on the body, but as I said, the knit rows go by really fast. It's just the Fisherman rib rows where you have to knit one below. Those are ones that take a little bit longer because you have to look into the stitches that you are knitting. My yarn is Knit Picks Palette. I don't know if it's actually going to grow too much in the blocking process. I'm hoping that the sleeves either relax a little bit more or they loosen a little bit. Lengthwise, they're fine, so I don't need them to grow, but I do want the stitches to kind of relax a little bit more. And the main color is Oyster Heather, and the contrast colors, I'll list them. I've listed them in previous videos, so I'll just list them on the screen again, but they're just various different colors from the palette line. So yeah, that's this. Very, very, very happy to have a little bit more progress done on this one. My friend Ariel from the Airy Knits podcast, if you haven't watched her podcast, she's wonderful. And she has made this cardigan earlier this year. And kind of seeing hers finished, it motivated me to start working on this again. And she rooted me on in the last episode, so I'm just like, oh, the energy, I feel good vibes. I feel like it's gonna happen for me. So that's my Stria cardigan. Oh, one other thing that I did want to mention is that in the pattern for the Stria cardigan, the button band is just like you pick it up and it's a 1x1 rib all the way around. And I was kind of debating if I should do a double knit button band. I really like how those look typically, but I have never done, first I've never done a cardigan where I've had to like pick up for the button band. So I was like, maybe I should just do the regular button band as per the pattern, just so I know kind of how it works. And I will be doing a cardigan that has a double knit button band in November. So maybe I should just do this one as is and then focus on the double knit button band in that one. Plus, like, I'm pretty uncomfortable making such big modifications in patterns. So stitch count wise, like, I don't know if I would need more stitches or less stitches for a double knit button band, and I just don't know if I want to like change the formula too much, especially for a project that has just been taking me so long. So I'm still deciding if I'm going to keep the pattern button band or if I'm going to do a double knit button band, but that's something that I can decide when I actually finish the body. So yeah, that's it for the Stria cardigan. So my next work in progress is the Prism blanket by Purl Soho. So I'm using Purl Soho Good Wool for this project. And this is what my first square looks like. It's a lovely garter stitch construction. You start on one end, finish one triangle, then you add the second color and decrease, decrease, decrease until you finish your square. So I finished this one last night while we were watching Lord of the Rings, and it's a really easy potato chippy pattern. Now that I'm done with the first square, I think I have to join as I go for the second one, but I haven't really read the instructions yet. The pattern is free on purlsoho.com, and the colors of good wool that I'm using are, the pink is Vintage Rose, and the blue is Seaside Blue. And I think this, so I bought this in a kit, and it's their birthday color pack. So it's all shades of like pinks and blues. And I'm making the crib size, so it has 12 of these squares that kind of go across. But if this is one square and there's 12 of them, it's going to be a pretty decently sized lap blanket, I think. Not much to say. I think I have to do the next square, which connects on top of this pink color next. So that's the next one that I'm going to do. And then we'll see if I can get another square done by the next episode. I doubt it. The first square, for whatever reason, took me like 5-6 weeks to do. But I think that's also just because I wasn't really actively working on it. I'd like to get 4 squares done by the time the baby comes. But as I said, this is not like a huge priority anymore for me. It's cute. Don't get me wrong, it's really cute. And it does remind me of the Sweet Shop blanket by Laura Penrose. And it's just on a bigger scale. The Purl Soho Good Wool is really lovely to work with. When you pull it taut, it can kind of go anywhere from like a fingering to a sport weight. But when you kind of let it sit loose, it's really plump, like almost like a DK. But you get a lot of mileage for these skeins. So that is the Prism blanket. The next color that I'm adding into this is called Desert Blue. It came unraveled when I was pulling it from my stash, but I have to wind it up anyways. So this is Desert Blue. And I think it's really lovely. Let me compare it to the Seaside Blue. So one is like slightly deeper. The other one has a little bit more of like that teal coloring to it. So I'll be winding this up later and then attempting to figure out that join as you go. Optimistically, I'd like to have another square done by the next time I film, but with my lofty goals of wanting to finish my Stria cardigan before the baby's here, I don't know if that's gonna actually happen, but we'll see. My next work in progress is the Tessellated vest by Andrea Mowry. This one you'll probably see over a bunch of podcasts, and basically anyone who's going to Rhinebeck is probably making this. I have so many ends. It's very, very, very annoying in a way to deal with all of the yarn management. And I kind of just threw this all in the bag, so it's even more annoying to deal with. Okay, here we go. So this is my tessellated vest. I've really not done too much on it. I've just done, I think, 1 repeat total. Let's see, will it focus? Let's see. So this is 1 repeat of that like slip stitch motif that is there. It's honestly not a hard pattern to work up. It's actually very easy. And it's kind of nice to see the fuzziness as well as the spin cycle start to change color as I get farther and farther up the pattern. It's just not been a priority knit because I don't really have a reason to finish it other than just having another vest in my stash or in my closet. So let me go through the colors really quick. My main color is Moon Spun in the color Dark Spruce. This is a sport weight yarn, and I think it's like 75 grams, 300 yards, something like that. And this is Moondrake yarn dyeing on the spin cycle base. So that's my main color. My spin cycle color, or contrast color number 1, is Miss Me, dyed in the wool. There's a lot more green in these skeins than I kind of would have preferred, but that's why I chose the dark green Moonspun. And then my fluffy colorway is Woolberry Fibre Co. Berry Surrey. And this yarn is Very Woolberry, I think. I think that's the shade name. This is like a pale pink with little bits of cream, little bits of berry pink, and a little bit of purple as well in it. So all of that creates this beautiful green, dark green, baby pink shade range in my vest. I am knitting the size extra large. I decided to kind of size up for this one. I could probably get away with the large, but I think with the intended ease as well as my changing body, I just decided I might as well size up and like be a little bit more comfortable with the sizing. And I don't know if this yarn is actually going to grow all that much, but I'm okay with it if it grows and gets a little bit bigger. Now that I know that I like vests because of the stripy turtle tank, I'm pretty sure I'll be able to wear this with many different outfits as well. So I think maybe in that sense, it would be a little bit more exciting to wear. But as I said, I don't have a specific reason to finish it other than just like having it in my wardrobe. Yeah, I don't know why I just started knitting this right now, but I just realized I'm on an all stockinette row, so I was like, oh, it might be nice to just do a couple stitches. But this is nice yarn. Like Moonspun is really nice. I just feel like it's quite a lot of money for what it is. Like, is the base what makes it so expensive? Like that spin cycle base? It has a really, really nice high twist though. So I can see myself wanting to use it again. I just would need to kind of like look for more budget-friendly alternatives, like good wool, for example. That's a sport weight yarn. The only thing about good wool is that it tends to have a little bit of like a heathered look to it versus Moonspun. It's a really nice high twist with a very lovely high saturation. So I don't know. I'm not sure if I'd work with that specific yarn again just because of cost reasons, but I do really like how it's working up, and I like the high twist and I like the stitch definition. So never say never, but there's so many yarns out there that I'd like to work with one day that I feel like I don't have to use the same yarn over and over and over again. Next, we're gonna go back to a baby knit. So now I am working on this is not technically a test knit, but I'm testing it. Okay, let's rewind. So Sarah, or Noelle Knits on Instagram, she released the Cameron pullover a couple of weeks ago, and I think her smallest sizes didn't end up having any testers. So when she released it, she said, if anyone wants to have the pattern and test the smallest sizes out, I'll give you the pattern for free. Now, I actually wanted to test knit this pattern, but at the time I was like, I had some other test knits that I was working on, and I just wasn't sure if I'd be able to finish the baby test knit in time. And so I messaged her and I was like, hey, I'll make the 6 to 12 month size. If you still need a tester for it, I'd be happy to do that. And so she sent me the pattern, and so I decided I'm gonna cast this on. And I cast this on yesterday. So I finished the back panel yesterday, and then right before I started filming, I finished the front left and the front right panels and I connected them. So now I just have the remainder of the front to do before I connect the body and the round. So this pattern is really unique because it uses like color blocking throughout, and it has this like waffle stitch. Actually, I don't think it's technically a waffle stitch. I think it's broken rib, but for me it looks like a waffle stitch. So this is using this yarn, which I forget what the name is, like the Fibre Nobili something something something. What's notable about this yarn is that I used it for my Shocking Stripes sweater by Tori Yu that I finished earlier this year, and I had one skein of this left. So I'm using this as my first color in the color block. Probably going to use all of it because I have very little left of this, and it's like yarn barf because I'm pulling from the outside and the middle. And then the other colors I'm going to be using for this pattern. So the middle section color block, I'm going to be holding these two Malabrigo skeins together. This is Malabrigo Arroyo in the shade Diana. And then there's also some sections of contrast striping. So I'm going to use this Malabrigo Rios leftover that I have. I don't remember the name of this one. Maybe it's like Cowboy or something, but it's like blue and purple. And then the bottom section of it, I have this yarn from, I think this is DK, but it feels like a worsted actually. And this is Craft Me Not Yarn Company in the colorway, I think Silver Garden. This one has cream, gray, light purple, light green as well. So if for whatever reason I cannot finish the pattern, I do have a fair amount of mini skeins over here that I could dip into. Like I have this gray one that I could dip into. I have some other things over here that could get used up. So I'm not too concerned yarn-wise if I'm going to run out, because this is meant to be a very, very scrappy project. Like I mentioned, I'm making the 6 to 12 month size. That's just kind of the size I've been defaulting to when it comes to baby knits. I just have an intuition that my child is going to be really big, being that I'm 6 feet tall, my husband is 6'4", and I have a niece who was born last year and she is huge. So I'm just like, I just assume I'm going to have a big kid. So I just don't want to make something that's going to be grown out of really quickly. So that's the Cameron pullover. I think I would like to finish this in the next couple of days, like ideally by the end of October. And today is, what's the date today? October 18th. So I have like 2-ish weeks, a little bit less than 2 weeks. So that should be very doable. Just get that done. I got like almost the entire yoke done in less than a day, so I could probably hammer it out pretty quickly. Finally, my last work in progress is my Slightly Sassy V by Aimee Sher. So I did manage to get the swatch done for this one, and I'm using Moondrake Yarn Co. Fua Fua, held single for this project. Fua Fua is like pretty thick on its own. I think it could be used as like a lace weight, or you could probably get away with using it as a fingering weight, and that's what I'm doing. I'm using it as a fingering weight. It is a little bit airy, but I really don't mind because the feel of it is just like extremely luxurious, and I'll probably still wear a tank top or a slip underneath whatever I'm wearing to preserve the yarn for longer. So I did the swatch for this, and I actually cast on the project, but I've not done any of it other than the setup row. So that's all I've done. This is not anything to write home about. I casted it on last Sunday. I think Ariel and Sharon also cast theirs on, or at least swatched. But I've just been so busy with trying to finish other projects that I haven't had a chance to actually finish this one. But I will get to this when I get like another one of the baby knitting projects done. I think there's always like the beginning of a project where you need to start like interpreting instructions and understanding, oh, this is how the increases and such work. And when I cast this on, I was not in a headspace to actually understand new instructions, if that makes sense. But I just wasn't ready to kind of like process what I actually had to do. So I just decided, let me put this down until I'm ready to actually like read through the instructions and spend some time working on this project. So that is going to get worked on a little bit more by the next episode. But I'm content with like that taking its own time as well. So my Tessellated and my Slightly Sassy, they're just kind of going to be background knitting, no deadline, no stress, no worries, because knitting shouldn't be stressful and it should be fun, and you should just enjoy whatever you're doing. So that's it for all my whips. If you're keeping count with my goals from last episode, you'll notice I'm at 4 out of 5. So I managed to do almost everything on my list. And I actually even managed to finish the swatch for my Calm Down cardigan. So this swatch is using woolly knit British wool, and this is the shade Cherry Red Held Double. This is what I'm going to use for my Calm Down cardigan. Now this is itchy, but like I'm not mad about it itchy because it's going to go for outerwear. So it is going to be on the outer layer of all my clothing. So it is a little bit more hardy, a little bit more toothy. This would be great as like an exterior layer, but I don't really know if British wool is meant to be next to skin, and that's completely okay. But I do have quite a bit of cones now in British wool, so I'm thinking maybe I should just use those for like cardigans only or outerwear only, and maybe not think of doing pullovers and such, because it is quite a bit more toothy. Yeah, I guess it's like toothier and like more itchy than like some of the other yarns that I have. So I really, really, really love the color though. I think this is going to be such a fun cardigan. And I plan to cast this project on the first day of November, November 1st. That's when I've decided we're going to go ahead and cast this on as a group. We're doing a knit along with another group of knitters from Seattle, so that'll be really fun. And I did, if you can see it, I have been marking my swatches with eyelets to say like this is the needle size that you used. And I find that to be really, really helpful because I don't actually write my gauge down all that often. So this was good because when I do intend to use British wool again in the future, I don't have to like re-swatch for every single color. I can just kind of check, oh, this is the gauge I had for US 6. And then if I need to do a gauge swatch at a different needle size, I can just make another swatch at that time. So that is my Calm Down cardigan swatch. You'll see this maybe in the next episode, you may not. It just depends on how quickly I film again. So yeah, super, super, super vibrant and lovely swatch. And I think it probably will soften with time. It's kind of like, it reminds me of like the Holstgarn cones, but the Holstgarn cone definitely had more spinning oil on it and the British wool doesn't, but it does feel a little bit like rope-like in feeling sometimes. So for me, cones are definitely a hold double type of thing. I am never gonna hold a cone single again because that was just an exhausting process with my gown cardigan. But holding a double, you get a really nice, fabulous texture. So for upcoming plans, I do have a couple. Let's start with this one. So I will be casting on sweater number 11, Light by My Favorite Things Knitwear, and I'm gonna be using this color combination. So the hank is from Sewrella Yarn in the shade Hardin. This is from Spring Tonals. And the mohair that I'm going to be holding it with is from Knitting for Olive, and this is the famous Dusty Artichoke shade. I'm going to be knitting this with some of my friends, my knitting friends, who I met like over a year ago on Discord. And we've just been chatting and been friends, and we love knitting and talking about plans together. And we decided, it's been a while since we all wanted to do a knit along. So we decided we're gonna just use some stash yarn and cast on impulsively. The other 3 gals have already cast on. One of them even has finished the yoke, I think. And I'm still stuck with swatching. So I'm gonna go ahead and try to swatch this today. And I think I need another pair of US 6 needles because my Calm Down cardigan is gonna be using US 6. One of the other cast-ons I'm going to show you is using US 6. My Prism blanket is using US 6. And then this is also going to use US 6 if I am on gauge 4 millimeters. I think that's what the US 6 is. So I think I might need another pair. I might have to go to the yarn store and pick up another set of needles, but I'm gonna swatch with this first, and then I'm gonna cast on the other project that needs the US 6 needles. So that is coming up soon. Now this is for a test knit for Noelle Knits, Sarah. She's who I'm also doing the Cameron pullover for. This yarn is Plucky Knitter. I think it's called Primo Worsted, and it's like a worsted weight yarn that has merino and cashmere and nylon in it. And I don't remember where I got this. I think I got it from a D-stash or something. And I'm going to use this for a half fisherman's rib hat test knit. So I'm making the baby size. So this shouldn't take too long to finish up, but it is half fisherman's rib, which is what my Stria cardigan is knit with. So I know that there's going to be quite a lot of purling. I don't mind purling. It's not an issue for me. So I'm going to be casting this on as soon as I finish that swatch. And this is due, I think, November 1st or 2nd. So I need to actually hustle on this. So even though it's a baby knit and it's not going to take a ton of time, I need to start this because otherwise I'm going to be down to the wire in finishing it. So this I'm planning to cast on tonight or tomorrow, depending on when that swatch gets done. And the last upcoming plan I have, which is not like really upcoming, it's going to be like sometime next year. I frogged my great gingham sweater. I have been kind of waffling on whether I actually wanted to do that or not. And if you remember, I'd only done like this much. I did the cuff and like one color work repeat. And I think at the end of the day, I was not sure about the neck shaping for the pattern. I've seen so many people make this pattern and it looks really lovely. Like the ones I've seen done well look really lovely, but I just haven't seen one in my size that I've liked. Like the ones that I've seen that I've liked have been on all like sizes 1, 2, or 3. And I think like with my chest as well as with how the neckline was like bunching, I just did not want to do a ton of modifications onto the pattern. I felt like the pattern probably should have provided short rows or things like that in it to make it fit better for all sizes. And so I frogged the yarn and I was on the hunt for a new pattern that could highlight both of these colors together. This is Wandering Flock in the Baby Packa base. This is Electric Orchid, and this is Cosmic Tie-Dye. And I decided I was going to do the newspaper pullover by Joji Locatelli. I haven't knit any of her patterns, but they have been on my wish list for a very long time. And so I'm going to cast this on sometime in January or February. I just recaked up these yarns and I feel happy and satisfied with the direction I'm going to take with this yarn, just because this yarn is so luxurious and beautiful to work with. And I wanted them to shine next to each other because the Cosmic Tie-Dye has like such subtle hues and the Electric Orchid is just such a beautiful, vibrant color. So no, I didn't finish it for the flock along. I think like there was no hope from the beginning for this pattern for me because I think I just need to start a colorwork jumper that's a little bit more easy to start. Maybe just like a top-down yoke might have been a better fit for this. And the newspaper pullover is all over brioche, all over 2-color brioche, but it's top-down raglan. So top-down raglan is like my favorite construction, I think, and it's very easy for me to kind of get into the rhythm with it. So I think by learning 2-color brioche with this project, it'll help me develop that skill as well. This I for sure will not cast on until I finish my Stria cardigan because I think I can only take one all over texture thing at a time. So Stria is gonna need to get done before this gets cast on. I think that should happen though, because with my aggressive knitting goals, Stria should get done probably by December, depending on if the baby comes early or not. So yeah, that is a future goal, a future plan. I really don't know when this is going to happen, but it's going to be part of like next year's bingo list of things I want to get done. So yeah, that is everything that I'm planning on working on in the next couple of weeks. So I made some new goals for my next episode, what I want to get done by the next time I podcast. I find these actually to be so motivating and helpful for myself because I feel like I have targets that I need to reach, and then it allows me to focus better. I think sometimes when I don't have goals in mind, I get a little bit scatterbrained and I kind of start working on things erratically. And while that's fine, because this is a craft and I can just do whatever I want, I do like having goals in place because it allows me to have a little bit more structure with finishing. Ultimately, I want the finished objects, right? So I would like to finish projects so that I can actually use them. Because if I just work willy-nilly on anything that I want to work on, I'm not going to actually have anything finished. So I finished all my goals from the last episode to this episode. So now I'm going to set some slightly aggressive goals for the next episode. First one, I'm going to try to finish the body of my Stria cardigan. This one is going to be hard, but I think I can do it. 2 weeks to finish the body, and I probably have half the body done already. I think I can do that. The second thing is I'm going to finish the 2 baby knits that I have going on. So one of them is the Cameron pullover, and the other one is the half fisherman's rib hat. I think I can do both of those. And then the third stretch goal is a big question mark because I don't know if I'm going to actually pick these up or not, but I think I want to do the yoke of my slightly sassy V. So I think I want to finish the full V-neck yoke and maybe even pick up the neckband and finish that off by the next episode. We'll see. I don't really have like any timeline in mind to finish my slightly sassy V. So maybe I should switch that out and do another square of my Prism blanket. Let's do this. Either I finish the yoke of my slightly sassy, or I finish the body, not the body. Okay, either I finish the yoke of my slightly sassy V, or I finish another square of my Prism blanket. So that's like either or. I'll try to do one of those two. So I think I can do it. That means I would have like almost a finished object in my Stria, and then I'd have 2 FOs by the next episode. So that would be really, really nice if I could get those done. And then I think I'd be done on the baby knits for a little bit. Yeah, just for a little bit. I think the remaining baby knits that I want to do, I'll probably start after baby is born. I think by the time I finish this, he'd have 4 jumpers, 2 hats, and a pair of socks. And I think that's enough because like in the newborn phase, they're not going to be able to wear, they're going to change so much, I think. Like, I think babies go through like 3 or 4 outfit changes at least a day. So we'll just worry about that when we get to it. But for now, those are the goals. Yeah, I think I can do it. Cool. We're going to move on now to acquisitions. I have a couple. I've just been letting myself go a little bit crazy with the acquisitions lately. I think it'll definitely come down to a stop like when the baby's here. I have some advents coming later in the year. I think one of them's already shipped. So I'm very, very, very excited for those. I don't have any projects in mind for the advents, but if you have any advent calendar projects that you love or have done before, please send them my way. I have one from last year from Through the Wardrobe Yarn Co. It's like a pink fade one. And I was thinking I would do a garment with that one, but I just haven't decided which garment yet. And then I have one from Olivia and Oliver that is en route right now. And I think that one, the colors are not going to be like as cohesive. I think they're going to be a little bit more, because it's based on desserts, I think. So I think she'll have like a different color theme in mind. So that one, it might be fun to do in a blanket and just have it be like a nice, fun, scrappy advent blanket. Anyways, I'm getting sidetracked. So the first acquisition I'm going to talk about is one that I got from Porter Wool Co. So Porter Wool kind of just came on my radar when I saw this neon pink sari, which I got at Flock. Well, Sharon got for me at Flock. And she also had a really beautiful Flock colorway. So that's my first acquisition, is I got 2 skeins of Flock Party So this is just the most beautiful, lovely neon and soft purple, soft blue, soft peach throughout. This is gonna be, I think, either a tank top, a t-shirt, or a vest for me. Seeing how variegated it is, I actually don't know what I want to make with it, but it's gonna be something with stockinette because it has a lot of colors and stuff going on throughout it. Then I also shopped Sunday Fibre Co's recent in-stock update. I think she had prepared a lot of yarn for Knit City Montreal, and I shopped the in-stock update because it was free shipping. So I got Ranunculus on her Kindred fingering base. I think every single one of her variegated and even her tonals calls to me. Like every single color that she has, I'm just in love with it. And since I saw my friend Sharon had gotten some mohair from her previous in-stock update, I decided I also wanted to try out Sunday Fibre Co's mohair. And this is also Ranunculus. So let me just put these two together. I just think they're so gorgeous. The mohair has a little bit more yellow coming through than the Kindred fingering, but I think both are just absolutely stunning. I got a sweater quantity of both. I have not decided if I'm going to use them together or if I'm going to use the fingering separately and the mohair separately. I'm not sure yet. I'll figure it out when I get to that project. But I was thinking about doing the cardamom sweater by Twin Knits with that. Not sure yet. This is like kind of that dangerous buying without a plan that I did for this particular acquisition. So that is what I got recently. And then a couple weeks ago, I did get some yarn from Big Little Yarn Co. This is from her Ghibli Season 2 mystery boxes. So if you are part of the Ghibli Season 2 club and you have not received your yarn for whatever reason and you don't want to get spoiled, now's your chance to run away. I'm gonna apologize for crinkling in advance. So when it comes to ordering from Mel, she's in Japan, and I typically feel like I have to order a lot to make the shipping worth it. So I kind of went ham on this order, and I bought, so she had 3 months of colorways. She had a tonal and a variegated for each month. So for the first 2 months, the colorways that she had like put up, as well as the scenes that she had put up, I was like very excited for. So I bought like a t-shirt quantity for each of them. This is the tonal for, oh God, I don't remember. It says Pan. I think it's Kiki's delivery service. And this is the variegated for that same month, the Baker's Assistant. So the variegated is just like a really lovely green, yellow, blue with a little bit of like grello and orange speckling coming through. And this color along with Pen, these are on the wool fingering base. So, sorry, wool linen fingering base. Really lovely. The brown color actually is not one that I would typically go for, but I think it'll be really nice in like a basic tank top or t-shirt. The next colors I think are from My Neighbor Totoro. So this is the tonal, and this is called Kusunoki. Again, it's like a really nice like seafoam-y green color. A little bit of green, a little bit blue, maybe more leaning towards the green side. And this is the tonal. This is called Visiting Totoro. Did I say this was the tonal? This is the variegated one. Let me hold them next to each other. These two complement each other really beautifully. And of the colors, I feel like these two might work really nicely in like a 2-color shawl. It'll be low contrast for sure, but I think they'd be really pretty. And then the last color I just got a sock set for. Okay, and this one is called Witch of the Waste plus a Henchman. I'm not 100% sure which movie this is from, but this is the sock set that I got. And this color set is like definitely the most not me, but I think it'd be good for socks for sure. And this is on her trusty sock base. So 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon, just your standard sock base. It has really, this burgundy color that's in here is really nice. I think combined with that Grello color, it's also very interesting. And there is like some grayish brown that seeps through here. So this is the sock set. Let me just hold up one of everything. So this is all of that yarn. It's very earthy, and I think all together they kind of go well as a group. But I don't know if I would have necessarily bought these colors on my own. So on one hand, I'm really glad that I bought something out of my comfort zone. On the other hand, are these going to be the first things that I gravitate towards in my stash? Maybe not, but it would be nice to have different colors. Like I think I have like 5 different pink sweaters already, so why not like go for a t-shirt that's using some blues and creams, right? So that's it for my acquisitions. Quite a lot today. I probably will have a lot next time as well, and forever. I'll probably have acquisitions forever. Like, let me be honest with you guys. I do like purchasing yarn. It's its own hobby, but I also like using it. I like having a lot of stash at my disposal. I like being able to kind of just cast on whenever I want to and not have to wait for yarn. I do feel like I will be slowing down very soon. And I think like until that time comes, I'm going to just keep casting on and knitting away at my heart's content. So that is it for the acquisitions. Let me throw these down. Okay. And that's it for the knitting content for today. I feel like there's a lot of information that I gave you all, a lot of things that I've been working on, a lot of plans that I have. If you like my planning sections, let me know. I'm always happy to do just like a specific planning video. I'm pretty active in a Discord community that has a lot of knitters as well as crochet and sewing people in it. And people there have asked me now and then about like how I plan out like my aggressive knitting. And sometimes when it comes to test knitting especially, I like to write out a schedule for myself for like getting things done in a fast enough way, but in a reasonable amount of time so that I don't like overwork my hands. So if you enjoy those types of planning videos and like getting stuff done, it's very much inspired by Knitty Natty. She is like one of the biggest knitting YouTubers, I guess. So it's very much inspired by how she used to plan out how quickly she gets her knitting stuff done. And I just have kind of latched onto it because I've always liked having a deadline when it comes to my work. It's why I enjoy test knitting. It's why I enjoy planning and all that. So yeah. Now I'm going to go ahead and get a little bit into the life segment, aka the pregnancy segment. If you are done watching, thank you so much for tuning in. Please let me know if you liked today's episode, if you liked any of the yarn, or if you liked any of the projects that I showed, and what you'd like to see more of from me. But now we're going to go ahead and talk a little bit about life and what has been going on in my life. I am 33 weeks pregnant, less than 2 months to go. I am starting to really feel pregnant. Like, obviously, I've been feeling pregnant for like a while, but now my body is really like starting to feel the toll of pregnancy. So one of the main things that I've been dealing with recently is swollen hands and legs. Sometimes I get tingly fingers, which is just not fun because it's like carpal tunnel from your pregnancy. There's a pregnancy-induced carpal tunnel. That's what I'm trying to say. And so I've just been kind of wearing compression gloves when I can, compression socks, elevating my feet, doing stretches, trying to get some walks in when I can. But it is starting to get a little bit uncomfortable. Sleep is also uncomfortable at times. Like, I think I can only get a couple hours of sleep in at a time before I need to switch positions, before something aches or whatever. Another problem that I've been having is that I have started developing acid reflux. So acid reflux kind of just comes towards the end of the day for me. And that's like really a pain because it prevents me from eating sometimes because I feel like there's stuff stuck in my throat. So the acid reflux is annoying, but I'm also starting to get like mentally ready to meet the baby, and we're getting the house ready. The room is like almost done. So I feel like physically, like everything is starting to come into place, and like my mentality is changing, and I'm like actually really preparing to be a mom, which is like a crazy thing because I feel like, you know, I've lived my whole life so far without having to take care of anyone other than myself. And now I'm going to be completely responsible with my husband, of course, but we're going to be responsible for another human. And that's just like a crazy thought to kind of wrap my head around. I've never had pets either, so it's like I've never really had to take care of another being's like livelihood until this moment. So I'm excited, I'm nervous. I know there's going to be a lot of learning early on, but I'm ready to meet him. I'm ready to see what he's like. I want to know what he looks like. I want to know like everything about him. So I'm excited for that. And I'm also excited to kind of be done being pregnant. I'm ready to have my body back. I haven't even gone through like I just started feeling like the swelling and like the acid reflux. So I'm sure it's going to kind of ramp up a little bit as I get closer and closer to the due date. But I think I'm like at the point where I'm like, okay, like I think I'm done. I think I'm ready to be done with this. So yeah, just a few more weeks to go, and then he'll be here. So I think what that means as far as my YouTube channel goes, I will probably put out like 2 more videos. I'm trying to go every 2 weeks for videos. So 33 weeks today. So the next one will be 35 weeks and then 37 weeks. And I doubt I will put one out at 39 weeks, but if I do, great. And then after that, I'm going to take like a little bit of time off, and I'll probably try to be back and filming sometime in February because that's when I'm going to be going back to work as well. So that's it. Like, as I said, if you want to keep in touch with me, the best way is through Instagram because that's kind of where I am most of the time. But on YouTube, like I do see myself slowing down a little bit, and hopefully I'll be back, you know, not too long from now. But I do want to just say that now because life is changing for me and things are going to be crazy. So that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed today's video. And then the emoji for today's video can be like the leaves falling. Yeah, we'll do the leaves falling emoji. So if you got to this point, please use the leaves falling emoji and let me know what you thought, what you were working on, and what you'd like to see from me before I go on maternity leave. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your week. Bye!